what I've been up to and what my game is. So essentially, I just need you to first of all give me permission to use this material in my documentary film.
You do.
Excellent.
You have permission.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll dive straight on in. I will hit record now on the Zooms.
Recording in progress.
Right on. Okay, so just brief introduction, if you can. Tell us a little bit why, how, what's your involvement and how you came to find Hex.
It's actually kind of interesting because I approached it as a skeptic, like yourself. I've seen a lot of stuff in the crypto space fail, and a lot of anonymous rug pulls, et cetera, throughout the years. And I really had to look into this thing because it just seemed like, too good to be true. And in most cases, things that are too good to be true usually are. The key word being usually. So the more I dug and the deeper I got, the more I realized that, this is something that is actually revolutionary. And it made sense because it was designed by a guy who already saw all the problems with the crypto space and saw that the crypto space is really kind of heading down a dark tunnel, and saw the need for you not to have the tragedy of the commons, to actually be able to participate in the network and not be excluded, based on your income. And I thought that was fascinating because I looked into like Bitcoin mining and how much it would cost to actually buy the mining equipment and everything. And, you realize that the equipment breaks down over time, and, there just wasn't anything that was like an actual passive income that you didn't have to jump through all these hoops to do. And that's how I found Hex. And I'm like, this guy makes a lot of sense. And the design makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so you were aware of Richard before Hex?
Yeah, when Richard was a Bitcoin maximalist, I thought he was pretty much full of hot air because, I could see, we could see Bitcoin going so far, but at some point, there's not really a way for the average person to produce it. And really it becomes like a rich man's collectible, so there's not really a lot of opportunity for someone to try to come in and earn within that particular space. It's already been dominated and controlled. It's basically just people pumping what they've already got. There's no flow to it. The model doesn't make sense. It's reached a level where, what are you going to buy? A digital asset or a new car? What makes sense to people? At what point do they stop buying? It just seems like most of the energy has already been sucked out of it, and it just become a rich man's game.
Okay, and Hex fixes this in your mind?
It does, because you are able to participate at any entry level and able to actually mint coins without buying any expensive mining equipment or having anybody, joining a pool or giving up your keys or any of those things. It's just literally you and the code. It's the opportunity that Bitcoin was before they started, changing everything. And they went from everybody could mine it on their computer to now you've got to have an ASIC to now you've got to have a farm. So this allows anybody to participate. And that's what makes it, so unique, because it's not trying to be exclusive. It's actually inclusive. And no one's trying to sell you anything. No one's trying to sell you equipment. Nobody's trying to make you do anything. You set your own terms. You're completely in control. No one's holding your keys. Your wallet's not going to get jacked. Where else do you find something like that? Look at all those finance coins out there. Every single one, rug pull after rug pull after rug pull. This is what happens when you have a centralized entity that has an off switch and can just pop it anytime they want. And Hex isn't built like that. And that's what makes it so different.
Okay, great. We'll circle back to some of those points, but I would like to try to get through my questions here at least. So if Hex is pre-viral, what does viral look like?
Here's the thing, okay? We've seen the text where the guy said, wow, you know, if I would have known Bitcoin was going up to $8, I wouldn't have sold it at 30 cents. The thing is, we get unit bias, okay? So if you hold a large majority of something, it's very difficult for you to accept that that large majority of something can have these exceptional price points. Nobody 10 years ago thought Bitcoin was going to break $1 trillion market cap. You told anybody back then that, they would have laughed at you. They would have said you're crazy. And we're talking about the biggest supporters of Bitcoin. That would have been an insane thing. So to actually try to figure out where this could go, it's impossible, really. What I can say is, once you realize that market cap is a vanity metric and it's not actually a limiter on what the potential of something actually is, you know, as I said, Bitcoin, nobody would have ever thought of $1 trillion market cap. That sounds delusional. But if you realize that market cap is just a vanity metric, there are no limits to what Hex can do. There just aren't. And I've been trying to think of any other excuse that I possibly can to say, well, why can't Hex do the same thing as Bitcoin? It's got a community. It's got, you know, dedicated streamers. The word is getting out there. When Bitcoin was launched, it did not have the amount of attention that we're able to spread on the internet today. You know, and what does it do for you? It's a high-end collectible. It doesn't produce anything. And Hex is a productive asset. So in all actuality, what is to prevent it from doing the same thing Bitcoin was? If we look at some of those scheduled times, we see that this guy was selling his Bitcoin for 30 cents. He bought it at 8 cents. He sold it for 30 cents. Well, we've already been past those price levels. He said he should have waited till $8. Why can't we hit $8? If market cap's not an issue, why can't we hit that price point?
Okay, so to circle back, what Hex going viral, is that on a plane with what we see with Bitcoin today? Like I wouldn't. I'm not even sure that Bitcoin is viral yet.
Bitcoin's not really even viral. True, because I mean, you gotta the crypto space is really this small, and it's controlled by a bunch of idiots. Okay, the people that represent Bitcoin don't code. They don't know anything. They don't understand how anything works. They ask the same questions about Hex that anyone could ask or apply to any cryptocurrency. And it's almost like they ask these questions because they don't have answers themselves and they want answers. You know, it's just unreal. It's like, well, you can't just print coins out of thin air. Why not? Why can't you? It's what the government does. They print it out of thin air. It's what Bitcoin does. The miners print it out of thin air. But there's no waste. Waste is not value. Waste is just a function of what they chose as the activity that qualifies them for distribution. That's it. It's not even a necessary function. You don't have to have waste to have value. Value is created when people are willing to take something of value and transfer it into another asset. That's what gives it value. And it's like they don't have these simple concepts or understanding that that's how value is created. It has nothing to do with waste. And yet, you know, we're the ones that get attacked. So it's like
you're referencing the proof of work versus proof of stake algorithm, right?
Yeah. It's just basically changing the action that qualifies you for the new supply that's being produced. I mean, you could pick any action. You know, you could only give coins to people that stand on one foot. I mean, you could pick any action. The point is the proof of work mechanism that they used was okay initially because it allowed everybody to compete, everybody to do that function on their basic computer. Everybody could compete in the economy. And then it got controlled. It got controlled to the point where now it's a pay per play sort of scenario. If you don't have massive amount of money, forget it. You're never going to mine. And even if you do mine, there's that level of depreciation where you have to, pay for the electric bill. So even before you make profit, you have that overhead. So it's not even nearly as profitable if you were able to mine because of that waste that you're paying for.
Sure, okay. And this scenario could not unfold with Hex. I'm just imagining, you talked about those with the largest resources today are able to open mining farms and what have you. Could you not draw parallels with the so-called God whales or these larger staker accounts?
You're always going to have these God whales in any asset. You're going to have God whales, you're going to have market makers. You're always going to have that. But the code is the code. And the code says if you have Hex, you can produce Hex. Will you be able to produce it at the same levels as the larger guy? No. But they can't throw a switch and stop you from making new coins. That's what's important here. You're obviously what you start with, is going to be able to produce you a bigger yield, but you can also move up in position too. I mean, you're able to, you can take the next couple years and acquire and build out your T shares. And then when T shares end, they're unable to get back in at the same level that they were. And eventually you could move up because they're dropping, so many coins on the market. So there's a way to progress, right? If you sell out all your Bitcoin, you're out of your Bitcoin, right? You're not making any more. You're never going to earn more unless you're a miner and then you're able to, produce coins. But if you're just a holder, how do you actually profit from that? Because there's no mechanism that's allowing you really to gain more coins. If you sell out, you have to replenish. There's not a flow to it, right? Hex has that flow, and it's a self-balancing flow that allows people to exit and enter and exit and enter. It allows that flow because of the production that's being made.
Okay. Moving on. Can you, obviously Hexico is more of a conceptual place, but if it did exist, could you describe it to me?
Does it coexist? I don't know, man. The community is crazy. We like to come up with some creative ideas and things to get attention, and it's what communities do. What you'll find is, we're all very diverse individuals. It's not like, we get called a cult. It's not like we're all Richard groupies, or we all have the same aspirations of changing the world, and it's everybody's got their own motivation. Hex is just simply a tool, and it's a tool that works.
Okay. So Hexicans are not necessarily completely united in their outlook of how the world should be.
No, it's and I get this all the time where people will say, oh, well, Richard to be proud. I'm not doing things to impress Richard. What I'm out there doing is I happen to know that there's this opportunity. I see other people struggling, and I see all this other garbage out there that we're well aware of that's in the crypto space. It's harmful to people. And I'd like to redirect them to something that, is not harmful, so that's really my primary motivation. It's like, a parent will yell at a child and say, "Don't do that, you moron." And if you watch Richard, that's pretty much what he does. People get upset because he calls people names or he tells them they're stupid. He is really trying to redirect people on a path that's less harmful, plain and simple. If you're going to play this game, it's safer, and I kind of pull from that a bit myself, is where I see people doing stupid things, jumping into these hot potato coins, chasing and gambling, and potentially risking their economical future. And I just want to help. I probably would have never came out and even talked about Hex if it weren't for the fact that I spent so much time trying to find holes in it and trying to find points of failure. And the only point of failure I was able to find with Hex is the Ethereum gas fees and the dependency on the Ethereum network, which currently we're now addressing. So, but I did see the potential that the fact that the fees could become usury at a particular point, because every transaction that we do interacts with the Ethereum contract. And that was the only point of failure that I could find. Nobody expected Ethereum to shoot themselves in the foot and behave like this, where they are literally exploiting, you know, anybody that's on the system. I mean, it's usury. This is some mafia bullshit.
You're talking about the exorbitant fees, right?
Yes.
I understood that they were attempting to address that.
No. Pulse will address that, but I would not count on Ethereum to address that until after Pulse is launched. After Pulse is launched, when you have a network that's going to cost penny fees, they will have to address it to stay relevant. So at some point, they're going to have to say, okay, guys, we've exploited as much as we can exploit here. We're going to have to correct our gas fees, or everybody's just going to move over to Pulse and they're going to forget about Ethereum. So I don't know. You know, their main dude is Vitalik. He's autistic, smart guy, but he's autistic. He doesn't seem very worldly in any fashion in the sense of the world. I don't think he's thought about the consequences. I don't think he sees any real impact here. And meanwhile, the miners are just, you know, exploiting the network and getting away with, you know, whatever.
Right, okay. So then Richard, you know, I think it's fair to say Richard gets quite a lot of shit from the wider crypto community, or industry, if you like. Why do you suppose that is?
Because he points out their incompetence. Anytime you see him do a video, he is pointing out their incompetence. He points out bad actors. He points out their behavior. And let's face it, the space is full of bad actors and bad behavior. And it's funny that, you know, they try to redirect their intent on him, and they pretty much reveal themselves, you know. So if you really watch these people that challenge Richard, what are they doing? They've got shill links out the ass. They're sending people to the meat grinder on Bybit. They're selling trading courses. They're selling paid groups. They're selling all this garbage to people because that is their livelihood. And if you look at most of these people and listen to the limitations of their knowledge, you have to think for yourself, you know, if they weren't able to cheat people out of money, what would they do for a living? Because I don't really see where a lot of these influencers are qualified for jack shit. In fact, I wouldn't trust them to flip my damn burger at Burger King. So yeah, they hate Richard because he makes them look bad, and they can't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah, I've heard a theory recently that he's like a distraction from Hex. So he defers the attention of the wider community, if you like, onto him. So as people don't look too deep on Hex. Is there any weight to that argument, do you think?
No, I mean, the code is published. You can read all the way through the layman's guide. If you don't read code, it gives you the whole thing. No, Richard he actually really wants people to like him. Okay. This is like his number one priority, is he wants people to like him. If anybody could do an analysis on him, you will see that is very important to him. See, if you're in a position where you have more money than you could possibly spend in your entire life, what do you want then? You want the things that you can't buy. Well, what things can't you buy? You can't buy respect. You can't buy adoration. You can't buy a loyal following. You have to earn that, okay? And it's frustrating for people that don't create or don't build things to see somebody else who has those abilities gaining all of this attention and taking this attention away from them. So there's a lot of jealousy in the space. I mean, what do these other influencers or these other haters actually contribute to society? Are they the ones out there raising, millions of dollars for medical research? Are they the ones out there actually trying to address the problems with crypto adoption in the space? No, Ethereum's exploiting the shit out of new users. How do you explain to a new user why you got to pay a $30 fee every time you move anything, right? That's worse than the banks. That's not improvement to adoption. That's not creating solutions. That's exploiting the people that are already here and don't have a choice but to use your damn toll roads.
So basically, Richard he's like this. He just brushes this stuff off. Although, he would like to be liked, if you like. But he has a bit of a background prior to Hex. And I think, from what I've gathered, a lot of the baggage comes from even before Hex existed. So, that's difficult to shake, I'd imagine.
Well, I think, if you look back to his videos, he was really hardcore into the self-help, sort of motivational speaker sort of thing. And you'll find that people don't look for self-help. What they do look for is how to make money. And I really think Hex was kind of a redirection, because once people's cup is filled and they have their basic needs met, what can they do then? Then they can start worrying about how improving their lives, right? So the Hex community in general has been more impacted and starting more healthy behaviors now as a result of Hex, because we want to be around longer. We want to get along with people better. You start doing things that are improving your life based on, now you got something to work towards, right? So he's made a much greater impact creating Hex than he did initially with his self-help videos. And if you look at the community, I mean, look, when we have our meetups and stuff, everybody's giving out hugs. Everybody's like, great to see you. We have bonded so much over the attacks that we've had in this space, over just these random people just jumping our shit for no reason. We've bonded over that. It's made us strong. We've been forged by fire. I mean, really what it started out was, we all thought we were nuts. We all thought we were crazy. Can this be true? Can this thing be right? Does this thing work? Is this even possible? So what happened was we started gathering together in little groups, and we would stream together, and we'd say, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? And we played the what if game. We went through all of the imaginary horribles. And then we said, but what if it does this? What if it does that? And next thing you know, guess what? We started to realize we're not the only people that were thinking that way. We weren't crazy. We had other people that understood what was going on. They understood the complexity of the code. They understood the system. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is starting to make sense. And that's how the community was really built. A lot of guys streaming with a lot of questions, bouncing ideas off each other for answers. I mean, that's really where we started.
Listen, I think that you've been a member since day one, I'd imagine, right? So you must have seen it all, including what's going on right now, which is some quite long-lasting dip in the price. But I think there is a case going on. You tweeted about it earlier. I think it was earlier today or yesterday. A little update there. Now this is around the case again. Is it Binance?
CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is actually owned by Binance, which we do find to be a conflict of interest, but that's furthermore being pressed. But how that started was, I started with a cease and desist letter to CoinMarketCap, which was a letter that I paid for. I didn't ask for money from anybody. A couple of the guys pitched in a couple $100, but I paid for the letter. I started the attorney to take a look at it, because what has happened was Hex was manually locked in the 201 position on CoinMarketCap shortly after Binance purchased it. And it's been specifically held there, and nobody knows why, and there's no explanations. We did get some nasty emails back, that says, because Hex sucks or whatever. You know, we've got like one of their publicists saying that. But they really have no explanation for it other than the fact that they don't want to list it. And how we actually discovered that is because of all the different factors in Hex, you know, the T-share, you know, the market supply, anyway, all the features of Hex. We needed our own websites. So we had to pull data directly from the blockchain. And then we noticed the fact that, wait a second, the numbers are not matching up here. And we kept increasing in price, yet we never moved in position. And then finally, we were just like, hey, what's going on here? So we reached out to them for years, at least a solid year. All right. And we requested that they fix the situation. They totally ghosted us, totally ignored us. Pretty much they can do whatever the hell they want. You know, they're not a fair and trusted site. They're just a tabloid. They can list things how they choose. They state it, whatever. And it's not fair because they promote themselves as a fair and trusted site, and they're not. They pay influencers to promote them as a fair and trusted site, and they are not. And I think the people other than the Hexicans, the whole crypto community, the whole crypto space needs to understand that these people are purposefully hiding the number 3 crypto asset by market cap.
Exactly, yes. So by market cap, you previously, and Richard himself a number of times has called this vanity metric. So again, along that train of thought, why is this case so important when the metric is a vanity metric?
The metric is a vanity metric, but unfortunately, the rest of the crypto space is uneducated on the dogmas of crypto. They don't know that CoinMarketCap's a vanity metric. So therefore they think it has value, therefore it does. So volume, not really important. Okay. There are certain dogmas of crypto that people are uneducated about, and they have an idea that they believe that this is some kind of measurable metric that does that. And because they believe that, and because that is costing them opportunity, is why that we're making this case, because we're playing by the rules, right? Market cap is simply the number of existing supply multiplied by current price. And if they want to change the numbers, then, you know, that's not playing by the rules, right? And it's not right. It's not right for people to believe that they're getting fair and trusted information and for them to be blatantly lied to. And this doesn't, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, this is more for the rest of the people in the crypto space rather than Hexicans. We know it's a vanity metric. We're not concerned about it. We don't give a shit where they list us. That's not important. The important part is if they can hide the top 3 performing asset of all times here, then they can pretty much hide anything. You may be completely unaware of projects that are out there that exist that could possibly change or make the space better based on their opinion and their decision on where they feel that they want to rank it. Their suggested assessed market cap value. It's not market cap. It's their assessed value. They get to play God. They get to say what makes it and what doesn't, based on who's paying them. This is another one of those situations where this is a payoff.
And I was looking at PulseChain a little closer yesterday, and I got a bit confused there. A number of people said you could sacrifice on Binance Chain
or Ethereum, or both. Or can you provide some clarity there?
Well, right now you should not be sacrificing. The sacrifice phase was supposed to only last 19 days. Okay.
Okay, but people are sacrificing still.
I know, and they're not supposed to. And it says right on the website, stop sending money, but they won't listen because
it's a very peculiar market behavior.
Well, again, because a lot of the space isn't educated. I mean, literally, we've got these maroons that are influencers leading people like sheep, right? And it's just so bad, man. It's so bad. And you know, it's like we try to reach out and grab them and say, hey, stay away from that. Hey, don't do this. And it's like, you know, trying to tend kindergarten, you know? And it's really not our responsibility. It's really not, but it feels like it, you know? Because, you know, you don't want anybody to come to harm. You know, you're doing this right now because you initially believed that Hex was this thing that was going to be harmful towards people. And you are putting your time in trying to expose if it was harmful indeed. I think you had, you know, perfect intent, but there are other people that just want to be right, right? So we got people like Chris Bleck, and we've got people like Eric Wall who just want to point and go, that's a scam, because they have a 99% chance of being right, right? It's about them being right. They just want to go, that's a scam because they got a 99% being right. It's a great bet, great odds, right? But they picked the wrong damn thing.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
mean, the word scam gets thrown around a hell of a lot in this space, and I try to gather my thoughts around, you know, how certain people can pick them off and say that is and that is, and you know, some people, Eric Wall you brought up, he's very well, he's quite respected in the community, the wider community, as far as I understand. I'm not exactly sure why.
I'm not exactly sure why either, because he's supposedly in finance and then he doesn't understand how value is created. And he spent that 3 hours talking to Kyle, and Kyle was literally saying, look, the color is blue. He's like, I know, but what color is it? No,
Yeah,
no.
I listened to that entire episode, and yeah, there was a lot of information in there. But let me just bring that question to round to the ending here. So essentially, do all crypto scams boil down to whether they have a king or not, whether they are decentralized or not?
What it comes down to is intent. What it comes down to is intent. And most crypto, you've got an anonymous, you know, I don't know what kind of world this is where people think that an anonymous founder is safer than somebody who is actually proud of what they built. You know, I don't get this, right? An anonymous person can just jump, pull that rug and go, right? See, if people are actually proud of what they build, they want to be recognized for it, right? You know, I'm an artist. I build things. I like to look at things and go, I made that. I understand this concept. When people are trying to tell me that an anonymous founder that has no interest in claiming any responsibility for what they built is safer than somebody that's actually proud of what they built, I have to say they're delusional, right? So I'm, number one, I'm going to look for, is this founder known? What is this guy's track record? You know how many people in the crypto space are criminals that are actually criminals that you can look up and find that they have a criminal track record, yet they produce coins, right? You know, people don't look into that. That's why people use anonymous names. That's why people don't want to be known, right? They don't want you to see their face because they have shit to hide. Richard is right out there in the open. He is taking all the punches. He's taking all the shots. He's willing to stand up with anybody and interview anybody and address their concerns right there live, in person, no script, no nothing. Who does that? Who is willing to do that? A person that has nothing to hide. Who doesn't do that? People that are afraid that you're liable to trip them up because you know they're not being genuine. This is why you're having so much trouble finding someone that's going to stand by and say, well, Hex is a scam because, number one, they haven't researched it. Number two, they don't have any material to present you. They know they don't have any material to present you.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? There's not actually, a scam hasn't really happened yet. The question, I think the argument is more, it could, the potential of it happening.
So I think it's clear.
Behavior. Yes, projected speculative behavior. And you can project that the end of the world is going to happen, but it doesn't mean it's gonna, you know. So,
and this is why I try to get to the bottom of why people call certain projects scams. Is it because they have a king, this leader, or is it because they are claiming decentralization and yet, you know, they don't have the infrastructure might be decentralized that they're utilizing, but they've got this king figure, and obviously the king we're talking about is the origin address.
Right. And every single crypto has one. That's the funny thing. Every single crypto has one. And then they give you a little pie chart and they said, this one's going to developers. This one's going to this. This one's going to that. And you know what? One dude holds all those keys. One dude holds all those keys. Prove otherwise. I mean, this is what's so funny, right? So it's not so much the people believe what they want to believe, right? If a person forms an opinion about a person, they don't like that person, they're not going to buy their product. Plain and simple. They can't get over their own personal opinion. You know, it's like nobody's asking who the founder of the hammer is, right? Who invented it? How many hammers are on the market? How many this? It's a tool, right? All crypto is a tool. What you care is whether or not it works. Does it serve its function? Because regardless of what Richard does, Hex is still there. If Richard died tomorrow, Hex code still runs. Okay. If Richard was arrested, he could literally nuke everything and send it all to the stakers, because it has the feature of the emergency unstake function, where he could literally stake everything for 555 and burn 25% over and over and over again until it was redistributed to the whole community. So when they did arrest him, he'd say, well, sorry, I don't have anything. Community's got it. You know, so all these mechanisms, all this complexity, all of this effort in order to make it not a security, all of this you in the code versus having to deal with some centralized website, it's all intentional. And other things literally are filled with traps and levers. It's all filled with traps and levers. But here's the thing, all right? If you got something that doesn't have traps and levers in a industry that is full of traps and levers, you mean they're going to actually have to start building viable products? They don't want to do that. They don't need to do that. It's like Silicon Valley. They work so long on a project and say, okay, that one's done. Let's move on to the next one. No, we've got a guy that's standing behind his product. And you know what else he did? He's making solutions. He could have walked away. Instead of forking Ethereum, he could have walked away and said, you know, sorry, it's not a Hex problem. It's an Ethereum problem. Everybody else is experiencing it. Why don't you take it up with Vitalik? I don't need to do any more work. He could have very easily done that. Has he done that? No. Now he's on to creating a solution for the whole entire crypto space and giving everybody in the space free coins. Do they deserve it? No. Those people don't deserve shit, especially the ones giving him shit. You know? Why should he reward them for their negative behavior? I wouldn't do it. He's a better person than me for it. I'd tell him to screw off. You know? I'd be like, you know, you guys were bad to me. Screw this coin. Screw that coin. And that's what people do. You know, they like to project what they would do if they were in Richard's position. And a lot of these people, they would dump on people's heads. So that's the first thing they're going to say is, well, if I was in control, I'd dump on everybody's head. So I think Richard's going to dump on everybody's head. It's transference. I know, I get on tangents, Tom.
That's all right. That's great. No, that's great. Okay, so there is, I mean, yes, of course, there's this projected future potential scam that may or may not occur.
Are
they calling Pulse a scam now too, or?
Well, the haters
are suggesting that, you know, that's how these scams operate. That when they see that it's dying off, they introduce a new level, which they're saying PulseChain will sort of kill Hex. But
I would like to address that from that aspect then. PulseChain is a solution for the high Ethereum fees. It was to protect Hexicans who are paying exorbitant Ethereum fees. It's an added on feature. So the thing is, what Pulse is not the next thing. Pulse is the thing to fix the issues that Hex was already having. If Ethereum would have just been legit and didn't try to screw everybody, Pulse would have never happened. But as a result of the fact of Ethereum raising those fees and not interested in correcting them, and not interested in actually creating adoption, and more interested in exploiting their, users, Pulse wouldn't have existed. All they had to do was do the right thing. Same thing with CoinMarketCap. All they had to do was the right thing. I sent them a cease and desist. They would owe me no money whatsoever if they would have just flipped the switch and did the responsible thing. But now they're in for serious hurt because now the attorneys have been paid and they want their cut. So it's sad that there are so many people in the space that are just incapable of doing the right thing because they don't benefit from the right thing. They benefit from the system as it is. They benefit from working the system as it is and exploiting the system as it is. And they don't want anything that's going to change that because that takes away from their control.
Yeah, okay. And the major change that that many Hexicans talk about is the fact that they are driving people away from this trading behavior of, day trading or whatever.
Yep, trading behavior, leaving your coins on exchanges, okay?
Which is
Chasing
where
shiny objects. We don't chase shiny objects. We save for our future. We are trying to create more healthy behaviors, right? You shouldn't want to look at your screen, for 10 hours a day in panic and your heart rate racing, not knowing whether or not you're going to get liquidated. You should be able to earn income passively without having to make all these moves and be reactive to the market, right? You should be able to pick your time when you want to distribute what you've made, So yeah, it's bad for influencers because they're not getting paid to promote Hex, okay? It's bad for leverage trading because we recommend against it. It's bad for exchanges because we don't need them, right? So exchanges want you to lock up your coins on their exchange so they can hold your keys and hold your crypto. And this is really dangerous because in all actuality, these big exchanges, you don't know if you're actually in a fractional reserve crypto situation. Because if you ever notice when prices go haywire, they lock you out, right? It makes you wonder, do they really hold the amount of crypto that they say they do? Or are you just looking at a unit of account suggesting what they say that you have in there? This is a problem. There is no fractional reserve crypto with Hex. It's literally on ledger and it's you in the code. So you don't have to question whether or not that Hex exists or not. Okay. When you go on these big exchanges, you need to question, Robinhood. You don't actually have a wallet address in Robinhood. You've got an IOU for crypto. You get an IOU that says you have X amount of crypto in this account. You don't actually have a wallet where you can transfer and send. So Hex is about self-sovereignty, controlling your own keys, and not following, we don't need middlemen. We don't need them. And the middlemen want to put themselves in between us and Hex, and we don't need them. And that's why you'll see a lot of stuff built on Hex that we do not recommend. We will not recommend because that is more people trying to put themselves in the way of you in the code. They want you to use their contract to stake. They want you to play your game with your Hex, their game with your Hex. All of these things, we don't recommend any of that shit. It's you need to stay away from that. I'm the first one to say it. I don't feel good about other people in the community building things that are like this. You'll never see me support anything that I do not feel is safe. I just want people to save for the future. That's my motivation. I want people to save for their future and want them to stay away from these things that can be harmful.
Exactly. Delayed gratification comes up a lot. And 5555. It's a hell of a long time to ask somebody to lock something away, right?
I mean,
right. Yeah. And I disagree with the guys too on that because everyone's like, oh, lock 555. Yes, that's optimal for income, but not everybody's in the same financial situation. The code is designed so that you can set up staking ladders that work for you. Okay. I don't suggest anybody stake longer than they can. You set terms you can honor and honor the terms that you set. If not, the truth engine will undo your progress anyway. So there's no reason to make a commitment that you can't keep in Hex. And staking is completely optional. That's the other thing that people don't throw out there. You do not have to lock your money in Hex. This is optional. This is only if you want to compete for the new supply. That's it. You don't have to. You can hold it like any other crypto, never stake it, and just sit on the price appreciation. You wouldn't be using it to its fullest extent, but you're able to do that. That's all your choice. It's not like, I don't think people should suggest the 555 because it is that kind of a long commitment. Most people can't, especially people in the crypto space, they can't even see a month ahead. Okay. It's hard to get people that can't even see a month ahead thinking about 15 years in the future. You have to teach them that this is a better way. You have to show them the difference. You have to run the numbers. You have to be able to show them this is how this operates so that they can make educated decisions. But they don't have an attention span for that. So
yeah, they're often referred to as the staker class, right?
mm-hmm.
And so you have, I guess, the unstaked class and the staker class. I'm not sure if there's any other classes, but do you foresee any divisive outcomes there, like any growing conflicts going into the future? I mean, 15 years is a long time. What does a staker class look like in 10, 15 years time in comparison to just your regular Hex holders?
Well, I mean, it's totally speculative, right? We don't know. We could hit by an asteroid 5 years from now and never get to see the 15-year stakes, right? I could die of a heart attack tomorrow. I'm never going to get to see the 15-year stakes. So, it's all speculative conditions. If everything goes right, you're looking at a lot more circulating supply. If the people that make it that long, because let's face it, okay, not everybody is going to make it to those 15-year stakes. They're going to unstake, because what happens is as price appreciates, they're going to start doing the math in their head. They're going to go, oh, I can unstake now and I would lose this much, but the price has appreciated so much that if I sell it, I'm still making a profit. So I don't expect a lot of those 15-year stakes to ever make it to term. And what that means is the 15-year stakes that do make it to term are going to get all of those penalties. And it's going to be increasing. The higher the price of Hex goes up, the more the penalties you're going to pay. It's beautiful because it is such a self-balancing system. If more people stake, less is on the market. So therefore the price goes up because of if the demand goes up, the price goes up. So, I mean, there's never been anything that has been designed this well balanced. And Kyle would be the one to talk to about all the modeling, because he did several simulations and modeling because they had to during the development for the economics audit to figure out where this would be in 15 years. So I think it'd be fine. I would not make a prediction for 15 years. It's like, what are cars going to be like 15 years from now? We don't know, we just have to look at it as it's the best design thing that's out there. And if anything is going to stand the test of time, this is going to do it. So how do you feel, Tom? How do you feel about when you started doing this investigation to now? I mean, have you felt like maybe your accusers are a little bit less on the credibility than the actual community?
Well, I interviewed with Richard in 2020 in regards to the TheFakefluencer film I made. So I found him very, balanced guy. So I got a lot out of that interview, and I think he came across as an interesting fella. And so once that project had wrapped, my mind was going back to my previous interviews, and that's what I was thinking, oh, maybe Richard's project would make we could make a deeper dive there, And at that point, I figured the best way to get quickly knowledgeable is to get some Hex and stake it, right? So that's what I did. As soon as you put some of your hard-earned panga on the line, you're gonna get in there deep and start digging around and sniffing. Little bit sort of naive of me at the time, considering you should do your own research before you invest anything. But I didn't see it as an investment. It was rather well, it was an investment in my documentary project. So, and I've been writing the ups and downs. I've spent a hell of a lot of time reading a lot of tweets, and I appreciate your efforts. I've seen your videos, and to this point, I am overflowing with interviews with Hexicans. So I think I have to date 10 Hexican, pro Hex interviews versus 2 critical of Hex. And
the thing was, I had to do that for you because of the concern trolling that we've gotten in the past, with people pretending like they're asking questions and then they don't, then we give them answers and they don't accept those. I've seen Hexicans attack you, and I'm like, let the guy do his job, right? He'll figure it out. He'll come along, and initially I was like, screw this guy, I'm not talking to this guy. It's like he's another one of those concerned trolls, and I was just kind of blowing you off. But the more questions you asked, I saw that, you are a journalist and you're sincerely trying to get to the bottom of this. And we want you to get to the bottom of this because, for God's sakes, man, if you find a problem with Hex, I'd like to know, because I've been looking for 2 damn years and I ain't found shit. So, I'm a little frustrated by that because I like to find failures in systems. That's kind of my thing. I'm an inventor. I find things that can go wrong. I'm trying to think 10 steps ahead all the time, and I haven't been able to find anything. There is nothing more frustrating than trying to find a flaw that you can't find.
Yeah, and
There's
it's
nothing.
honestly, since I've started this investigation, I'm fairly frequently projects or people like yourself that are invested or involved somehow in projects, crypto projects, have asked, Tom, come and investigate our project. I think they see it as an opportunity for somebody to shine a light on what they have become so enchanted by, whatever it might be. So I'm backed up to the walls. I've got 9 potential documentaries already that I can make after this one, but it's not cheap making these kind of investigations, and the obsession that you have to garner within yourself. I'm starting to dream. Richard is in my dreams these days.
so
Is he saying, don't do that, you'll hurt yourself?
I don't.
If that makes me a Hexican, but it must be as bloody close as it gets.
Good.
Like I said, Tom, you've been one of us. You just didn't know it. That's what I'm saying. You just didn't know it yet. It's gonna happen. You'd be like, oh damn it, I'm a Hexican. I mean, I would have preferred not to. I would have preferred not to have gotten into the community or become the icon character that people think that I am. It's very unique, right? So I had 12 people came of their own free will, drove 2.5 hours to come visit me, to shake my hand, to tell me, thank you, Johnny, you're an inspiration. I enjoy your tweets. I enjoy your videos. And I'm like, me? Dude, I'm just a guy that gets on camera and speaks his mind. That's it, right? I'm not trying to do anything special here. I'm just speaking my mind. I want others to think. I want others to use their mind and to shut out the noise and actually think about things. Look at everything from a different angle, Make your own best decision. Don't depend on others to tell you what to freaking do. For God's sakes, be independent, But that was amazing. Now, I can't imagine how it's like to be Richard when he had 150 people show up to shake his hand and congratulate him and thank him for changing their lives. That's crazy. But I mean, I'm just a nobody in this. I'm just an investor, just like you. Okay, Hex holder. There's nothing special. Nobody's paying me to do this. Nobody's incentivizing me to do it. Nobody's threatening me to do it. And here these people show up to say my videos are changing their lives. Where do you get that? How do you buy that? You can't buy that. That's priceless, man.
Right on. Okay, mate. Well, we'll wrap it up there. I may or may not have more questions for you in the coming months. This is going to take a while to do this production, so I may hit you up again. But I really, really appreciate you taking the time, mate.
No problem, Tom. You know, and I appreciate you looking at this from a subjective point of view, and you know, really, you know, just giving it a fair shot. You know, it's good that you're doing this. There are not a lot of real journalists left. People like to spin narratives and they like to do the spin. There's not a lot of real journalists left. There's not a lot of people that really want to get into it and, you know, take both sides of the argument and really find out who's telling the truth and who are the bullshitters, right? And I appreciate you doing it. And like I said, I will try to help you as much as I can, get other people your direction. But again, you're going to hear the same story from a lot of us, you know, a lot of professional people in hacks, from engineering to nursing to program development to entrepreneurs to, you know, whatever. I mean, we all come from different walks of life. We all believe in this product, and you know, we just hate all the bullshit out there. So we're just trying to cut above the noise. That's really what it comes down to. We're just trying to say, hey, quit listening to that bullshit. Here's why it's wrong. Listen, make your own decision. That's all you got to do. No one is stuffing hex down anybody's throat. We're just saying, take a look. You might like it. It might work for you. You know.
Right on. All right, buddy. Well, have a good rest of
Get on to your next interview.
Nice. Have a good rest of the day, yeah?
You too, Tom. Let me know if you need anything else.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Take care.